Okay, in this video we're going to show you how the Refugees of Legion work in the game of Purgatory. The Refugees of Legion are the next faction for us to release as part of our expanding universe and expanding game, Purgatory. We hope that we won't just release the Refugees of Legion, and actually that we will reach a target that will allow us to also release the Gangbanger faction as well. And if we get near that target, we'll release another video that shows you just how to play with those guys. This faction is completely different to the other two. If you watch the other video that we played tonight, you will see what the abilities of those characters have and how they interact with each other in the game. This faction specifically are a synergy-based faction. The Soul Train are there to manipulate and move characters around. They're quite good at moving around, they're quite good at drawing characters in, pushing characters back. You might not have seen that so much in the last game because we deliberately forced the faction into one place. Murder Inc. are very, very good at getting across the board and doing damage, which we think we saw in the last game, so it's a good demonstration there. They are counterbalances for one another. You have to be very careful in that you don't just make everybody immune to everybody else. You can't balance it too much. So there are aspects in our game where one faction can do damage to another one and who is the counterbalance another one. So, for example, as you've seen there, Murder Inc. is a bit of a negative impact on the Soul Train. The Refugees of Legion are a bit counter to Murder Inc. in fact, because they synergise, they buff, they work very tightly together to stop mass attacks from coming in and doing damage. They're very, very good in a concentrated unit. It means that they're not as good at moving around the board, they're not as good at taking objectives, but they are very, very good in some scenarios. The Gangbangers, which I touched on earlier, are kind of the counterbalance to the Refugees of Religion, funnily enough, in so much that they are heavily range attacking, they do damage from range, and they can pick people off, so that you can't benefit from what you're really good at. So the Refugees of Legion are very good at staying tight together, they're very good at keeping each other safe, but the Gangbangers will pick you off from afar if you're not careful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you some of the mechanics for the characters and how they play, and we're going to pick on poor Moloch and show just how much damage Penemy can do if you get him exposed. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pick on Moloch, as we said, and but we're going to give Moloch a chance. So Matt, who I played in the previous game, hopefully will have a little bit more luck, but the odds are stacked against him. So yes. If you do struggle here, mate, we won't hold it against you. Yeah, you keep telling me this. So what we're going to do is we're going to let Moloch. We haven't got the models yet for the characters, but we've used some tokens here with names on them so that you can see who's who. We'll talk you through it, but the first thing we're going to do is just show you how Moloch and Penemy face one another. Now, Penemy's a really, really important character in the game. She is the angel that kind of led the rebellion against Satan in the War for Heaven. She wasn't the commander of heaven. In fact, she's not even an archangel, but she's the one who sort of left picking up the pieces almost by default. So the fact that she now enters our game is quite telling and quite important. We're going to let Moloch charge in. We're going to give him that advantage. So what we will say to you, sir, is do your worst. I'll give you Moloch's card so that you can see, though I think you know him well enough.
What's going to happen now is all my luck from earlier is going to come back and we're going to kill Penny in one hit.
Okay, let's see
or
what
not,
happens.
as the case may be. So, when we charge in, we will go for Mortality.
Okay.
Which is, as we all know, 4 strength 6 attacks. And luckily for me, because I'm charging and she is an angel.
She is.
I'm going to be really quite good at this. So I'm going up to melee ability 6.
Okay. Well, my melee ability is 6 anyway.
Yeah. So she is brilliant in combat. So
well, she's the Blade Master. Yeah.
So even with Moloch's bonuses and charging, he's only evens with her.
Yep.
So 4 more to hit. There we go. 2 hits.
Okay, 2 hits.
Good start.
She is strength. The defence 5, sorry.
Okay, normally Moloch is strength 6, he gets +1 for charging, so up to 7, and then +1 because she's an angel, so he's up to 8. So 2s to wound. Right, let's get 2 wounds, please. There we go.
2 wounds, and that's a really good start. Do you want to roll your normal attack as well, just to get it out of the way?
Yeah, so this is my normal attack, so this is melee ability 5, so I need 5s to hit. Good start again, and strength 7, so 2s to wound. Top job.
Nicely done. Your dice certainly returned you, didn't they? So I need 4-ups. That's what her armour says. So a failed 2.
Excellent.
Okay. So she's down to 4 hit points.
Yeah. So Moloch is basically barreled in, shoulder bars out of the way, and taken what, a third of her hit points off.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it's my turn.
Yeah. So we're going to just see what Penny does when she just fights back on her own?
She is just going to fight back normally. So as she is, she's going to retaliate because let's say we're in a game scenario. Moloch has picked her out on her own. Her faction is behind. She's charged off ahead, the zealot that she is. And now she needs to see what she can do first. So she has 4 abilities, much like most of the hosts do. She does have an aura, so I'll talk you through some of the bits and pieces. She has an FF aura of 15 rather than 10. She's quite inspiring, which is why we've done that. She has watchful presence, so she can use a weight for a target, and then she can... A model that's within 8 inches of her, she can swap stats with. So she's quite the protector. So her role in Heaven was she's a defender. She would watch people, she would look out for people, she would protect people. And we've kind of replicated that in the game. She has Blade Master, which I'm going to go on to last because that's what I'm going to use. She has a switcheroo as well, which means that she can nullify the effects of incoming attacks to a target model that's close by. And then she can also do she can seek and she can be found, which means that because she's a watcher, guess what they do? They see pretty much everything. So if you're in cover, she can actually say no and reduce your cover save down by 1. So she's quite useful. She has lots of different things. But I'm going to use Blade Master, which is once per game turn, inflict 2 melee attack at strength 5 on D3 enemy models that enemy is in base contact with, which is a normal armor save. Or I can inflict 2 attacks at strength 7 on one single model in combat, which ignores armour. Which means dexterity stays.
Moloch is not going to enjoy that.
No. So, I am melee ability 6, you are melee ability 5, so I need 3s. 1, and it's strength 7.
I'm defense 6,
so 3s again. So you need to take a... You've lost a wound.
I have.
You've taken a wound.
I can't take a dexterity save because Moloch isn't dexterous at all.
So that takes 2 of her action points up. She's got 2 more action points in which she's just going to do 2 normal attacks. So she is 3s to hit.
Yep.
1 hit. And she is strength 5, so she needs...
I'm defense
6.
So do I get +1 because you're an angel?
+1 to all of your stats?
Yep, so defense 7.
So nothing. So on that exchange, Moloch's done more damage. Yep. But this is where the telling part comes in.
Because actually, points-wise, they're fairly similar, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're exactly the same points.
Yeah.
She is a monster on the charge. On the charge, she would have easily taken the 2 wounds off you there, but she'd also done more damage. We allowed Moloch to come in because we're now going to show just how flexible and how codependent this faction is. So the first character we're going to bring in here is we're going to bring in Faith. Now, Faith's a character that's been around for a while now. She was released in the later stages of the first Kickstarter. And what she does is she gives a radiating aura save. Now I do have a Faith model somewhere and we'll use that for the time being.
In she comes.
In she comes.
I confess, Faith is one of my favourite figures that you've done.
Well, she's a nun with a riot shield, a police baton, riot armour and a riot visor.
What more do you need?
Well, exactly. This whole faction's nuns. We deliberately made a choice because a lot of the factions we've got have got different characters, different looks, different feels to them. We nearly done that with the Refugees of Religion in that we had a choir boy, we had a priest, we had a monk, whereas we ultimately decided to just have 7 guys in habits because actually some people just want consistency in their models and want it all look the same. So Faith gives a radiating aura. It's pretty spiteful. On 1d6 on a 3 up, it goes off. She now gives everybody within 3 inches a 3+ save.
Which is great because Penny's save is normally a 4+, so it makes a save better.
Yep.
And when everyone else turns up, it will also protect them.
Absolutely. So what we'll do is we won't go into another round of combat. We're going to bring everything into play once and then we're going to show you how it goes. So the next character I want to bring into it is Chastity. Now Chastity, while she's a nun, she is the minion for the faction. Any model with the refugee special rule gains +1 melee ability whilst within 3 inches of Chastity. So again, you can kind of see what we're going to do here. We're going to bring Chastity in here, and again, the radiating aura comes into play. Now, interestingly enough, Penemu doesn't have the refugee special rule, so she doesn't benefit from the +1 melee, because that would just be silly.
Yes, that would be kind of broken.
She has 2 moves. She's a blasphemer, it requires wait for it, and if a friendly model within 6 inches is targeted by a Gift of the Gods card, she can try to nullify it. Which is quite nice. She has Unholy Communion as well, which is unlimited range, and either enemy host can lose 1 AP or cannot use their angelic ability in this game turn, which is quite pleasant, and I can choose. So, for example, if you're going to use your Sinister Possession, I don't really fancy doing that. No, you can't do that. But even if I think, actually, I need to reduce the amount of damage coming here, I can just take away one of your AP. Yeah. It's really quite spiteful. She's not very strong, she's ever so squishy, but she now has a 3+ save because she's next to Faith.
And what we also found out earlier, because Penny's ability is to swap stats, if Chastity does get picked on, Penny can just go, okay, you can have my stats, I'll have hers, and you can fight me.
Exactly. So, we've got the second character in there, doing their thing. The next character I'm going to bring in is Mother T. Mother T is a cross between Mother Teresa and Mr. T. That is a hellish combo for any person. Now, she is, again, very, very useful. This faction isn't designed to do a lot of shooting, but you do get some of it from Mother T. And because there's not a lot of shooting in the faction, we've given her the opportunity to do lots of different things. So, much like the colleagues of one of her namesakes, what she can do is she can either create a flame turret, a machine gun turret, or a mortar turret. And she can have one of those in play at any one time, and then if it's destroyed, she can bring another one back. But by virtue of the fact that she can switch that around, if she wants to try and defend and just bring a flame turret in, she can hold a position and flame anyone that comes near. Yeah. Machine gun can do damage from range, and mortar can do damage from even further range. So she has got quite a bit of flexibility.
Because I know when we look at some of the scenarios, especially there's one where there's a token in the middle of the board. Yeah. If you can get a flame turret or a machine gun trained on that, you go, okay guys, run at it. Take the token. You're going to be in for a bad day.
Absolutely, absolutely. She's also got Fool. So she can target models that are soaring.
Yep.
And on the successful roll, she can just make them plummet to the ground. They shouldn't get in that plane. She's got Sucker Punch, which means she can punch people really hard. This is Strength 7. It's a one-shot wonder, but she can knock people back. So if you ever see Mother T approaching you on the edge of a building, you're in trouble, because she can knock you off it, because it gives knockback. Finally, she's got Pity. Now this is what we want to use this for here, is for this scenario we're going to bring her in here. And a target model within 8 inches on the roll of a 5+ on 2d6, the target model is at -1 defense for the remainder of the game turn. It can only be used once successfully per game turn. So like we had in the previous game, because it says you can do it until it's successful, you can do it more than once. So were we to play this scenario in normal situation and Penny hadn't gone into combat yet, she'd have reduced Moloch's defence down by 1. So he's more susceptible to the pain that she dishes out.
And what's also great with her, if she's done that ability to bring your defence down, she can then use her Sucker Punch to knock him backwards.
Yep.
And then Penny comes running in, charges, and just takes him down.
Absolutely. We're now going to bring in Joan. Now Joan is... she's our take on Joan of Arc. She's got quite an interesting story. She has the Spear of Longinus, which is the spear that supposedly done the final wound to Christ whilst he was on the cross. She has a bit of a sinister role within the game. We're not quite sure, well, we know what she's here for, but people won't know what she's there for until we reveal her story as it goes along. She has quite an important role to play, and if you are one of the fans of her backstory, then you'll be interested to see how her journey takes place as we go along. Now, what she can do is she has, because of her importance in the game, she has high purpose, which means that she can come back to life. So when she loses her last wound, she can, you roll dice, and as long as you achieve the score required, she comes back to her last wound, which is really quite useful. She's the Slayer of Kings. She can inflict D3 base strength attacks on target enemy in the melee, so this is a melee ability. But if the target's fallen angel, a devil, a nightmare, or a leviathan, ignores armour, so it's quite spiteful against Moloch. She's also got Jib, which means she can actually attack people that are in combat but not be in combat herself, so she can kind of just stand on the periphery and go, have some of that, have some of that. And that's what she's designed to do. She will go here, so she's out of the way, she's just gnawing away, taking those little bits of damage off, And if we put her a little tiny bit closer, she's protected by the buffs.
Because let's face it, if Moloch gets hold of her, she's in a world of pain.
Well, actually, all of them are in a world of
Yeah.
pain if Moloch gets hold of them. But the point is that actually, even though... So if Faith gets targeted, or Mother T gets targeted, or Joan gets... There are characters with the ability to kind of push them back and reset the balance.
And again, even if Moloch does get hold of him because of Penny's stat swap, Moloch's always going to face her.
Absolutely. Now we're going to talk about Jane, just very, very briefly. Jane is a soft ranged attack, basically. She has a machine gun, she fires at medium range, basically, and she can keep people pegged back. She can just knock those wounds off, lose those hit points on the way in, and soften people up. She also has pro-choice. On a recessive roll of a 6 plus on 2d6, target model within 15 must take an FF test each time it chooses to target a model with the special rule refugee. If the FF test is failed, it instead targets the nearest friendly model. So there's a little bit of shenanigans in there. It's like, well, if you want to hit us, that's absolutely fine, but take a test, and if you fail, you're hitting yourself. And that, again, just knocks those wounds off. And if you've got a really powerful character in there, so if Moloch stands there and goes, oh, and punches someone next door to him, that's going to hurt.
Or if you get someone like Shikonda with her range ability, you go, actually, go and target someone.
Absolutely. If you can imagine 2d6 just on 6s, that's pretty spiteful. So that's what Jane does. And finally, as I drop her card and test my knees to the limit, we've got God. God is someone that my colleague and I knew from very early on in our careers, but we won't say too much about her. She has a lot of different abilities. She has Ding Dong, so all friendly models within 8 get +1 FFF. So
+1 FFF.
FFF. Manuel from Fault Towers, no, +1 FF. She has Bell End as a move, which is always a reflection of our humour. What she can do is she place the Ripsnort template over the top of her, and she can basically just knock everyone around her back by swinging her church bell around and doing some serious damage. So she has that ability again to disrupt things and allow you to recover. She has the shaky hands. That means that a model within 6 inches makes an immediate FF test, and fallen angels do it at -2. Again, it's about control. And finally, Yuden, who's army. So she can use it in the melee, it remains in play, and if got is in melee involving another friendly models with the refugee special rule, enemy models must attack got first. And she has high defense and lots of hit points. So she can soak things up. So if you were to put her there, if, let's say, Joan was in combat, she can take all the incoming damage from Moloch, and Joan would survive long enough to either get away or wait for Penemu to come back in again.
Yeah.
So let's think about the scenario now that we've now got. What we're going to do is we're going to reset the balance a little bit.
Okay.
And we're going to have it so that Moloch has moved and he's run across the board and he's come to face us. He's like, right, come on then. Doesn't know what the refugees can do, and he's going to try and see if he can take them down. Normally Moloch will bludgeon his way through anything, but today he's got a bit of a shot coming. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we're not going to roll the dice, we're just going to say it can occur. Mother T is going to reduce his defence by 1.
Okay.
So that's happened. Faith is going to position herself to give 3+ armour saves. Joan is going to stand there and do attacks from the side on a weakened Moloch because... Oh, sorry, apologies, before I do that. Chastity is going to position herself and give us the aura, so +1 melee ability.
Yep.
Joan is going to stand there and just spear him from the side because she's +1 melee ability to hit and she aims at -1 defence. Got's going to get ready in case something goes wrong and try and defend. Jane's going to do some shooting from the back. Mother T's put a turret down to do a little bit of damage to him on the way through. And in comes Penemu.
And she'll ruin his day.
So this time around, we will roll the dice for Penemu on this occasion. So for her 2 attacks at Blade Master, she's hitting on 2s. And she's wounding on 2s. She's 2s? Or is it 3s? It's 3s, isn't it?
Yes.
It's 3s. So she's got 1.
Yep.
And she fails the wound, ironically.
Nice one, Penny.
Well, absolutely. And then normal attacks, she hits with both. And she wounds with 1. So...
She doesn't.
She does, because he's -1 defence.
So
she's 7.
Yeah, and he's 6.
He's 5 now, so it's 2s.
Yeah, because he'd be 7 because of him her being an angel.
Oh, he would go up 1, so it'd still be 3s.
Yeah.
So, but in normal way, she could much easily do more damage. It didn't really show in those dice rolls, typical for the camera, obviously. But if we try again,
you just can't roll dice, can you?
Okay.
Tell you what, I'll be Penny.
You be Penny. You roll the dice.
Right. This is how it should be done.
Okay.
So 2 attacks.
Yeah.
Penny will hit him on 3s.
Well, she's weapon skill. She's now melee ability 7.
Yep.
He's melee ability 5.
So 2s to hit. That's how you do it.
I was right in saying 2s the first time around. Then.
Yeah.
You corrected me.
I know. I'm confused myself.
Okay.
So 2 hit.
Yeah.
Penny is strength 7. Moloch is down to defense 6.
Yep.
So 3s. See, that's how you do it.
And the 2 normal attacks.
So he takes 2 wounds straight away. 2 normal attacks.
Yep.
Both hit.
Yep.
And then 3d into wound. 2 more wounds.
Well, that's 4 hit points gone.
It's more than half of his.
Yeah,
It's more than half. So he would take an FF test. So he's at FF -1 because of this and that and the other. He is okay on this occasion. But you can see that just like that, in one run of time, now okay, yeah, we've set everything up, and yeah, okay, we've kind of set it up so that it's deliberately determined to do it this way to demonstrate the game. But let's see if Joan would have done her attacks on him. She'd have hit twice. She needs 5s. So she'd got a wound. So
That left him on 1 hit.
that left him on 1 hit, which is another FF test. Which, given my dice were so poor, he fails. And off he goes.
Yeah.
So it shows you how easily they can take down something quite big, but they are codependent. They have to work together.
I think what you find with refugees, if they've got an objective to defend, they are going to be a tough nut to crack.
Absolutely.
You're not going to shift them. If they've got to run around and split up, they're going to struggle. But if you give them one spot and say, okay, defend that, you're not going to crack it.
When we were designing the faction, actually, we looked at the characters and we kind of made them quite strategic in so much that they can operate in 2 groups of 3, but you have to be very, very careful who you pick.
Yeah.
Faith gives them the ability to protect themselves wherever they're going. So she can give them that 3-up save, but it slows them down because she can only then move once and they have to keep within 3 inches of it. So again, they're very susceptible to template weapons, very susceptible to anything that can do damage en masse. So, like, actually, funnily enough, like Got's Bell.
Yeah.
Penemu's the other side of it, in that Penemu can protect the other group in so much that she can confer her stats to somebody else, or she's just a little bit rock solid and can protect whoever's with her. So you can split them up into 2 pockets, but as soon as you start moving away from each other, they just become weaker and weaker. So whilst gangbangers are, a decent way of taking them down, the Soul Train are also quite useful because they can manipulate characters and move them about, which means that actually you can draw people away and take those benefits so that they're more isolated.
Yeah, it's a key thing. If you can pick on one member of the crew, then they're going to struggle. If you face when they're castled up, you're going to bounce off them.
Absolutely. And that is how the Refugees of Legion play. We hope you like them. We're looking forward to getting the models out there so that we can show you rather than with just little black tokens. If you like what you've seen, please back us. Thanks for your time.